The difference between a loving man and one who is using you. In this video, we'll talk about how to figure out if the guy next to you is truly the one, a genuinely loving man, and not just someone who's there to use you. It's a myth that there's someone signed to determine if a man is truly in love. After all, relationships are a long process, and relationships throughout life, people evolve, relationships grow, they move forward, they change, and relationships actually evolve with people. But there's one thing that can help you realize if the guy next to you is really the one. After all, relationships are a two-way process. When you feel like you're not alone in the relationship, that you're not the only one carrying everything, and that you're happy. When you realize that there's a contribution from both people in your relationship, that's when it really counts. That very common indicator that there is a loving man nearby. In relationships where you're not alone, that's where you're loved. So now there are several signs by which you can identify and separate a loving man from a man, which also uses the first sign, the correspondence of words and actions. A man who is in love is invested in the woman. In relation to him, he will be responsible for his words. That is, if he said something, he will try to fulfill it. He will keep his promise because it is important to him. Who he is for this woman. It matters to him how she sees him, and what he does matters, because she is important to him. A man who is using you will talk a lot, but you won't see any real actions. There will be many promises, the moon from the sky, the stars, incredible dreams, but in reality, you can only dream while being with him. Next, caring about your feelings. If a man worries about for example, in your well-being, worries about your feelings, tries to participate somehow in your emotions. Maybe something happened to you, like at work, or with your family, and the guy listens to you, hears you out, and tries to help in some way. He tries to share in your negative or difficult emotions, and that's when he's really involved in your life. He'll downplay your feelings, like, "Oh, come on, what are you worried about? It's not a big deal, something happened to her. Well, I actually have this problem." Your problems and emotions are all nonsense. So, where you encounter devaluation, that's where you'll find a man who isn't really that interested in you. Further, a man who is ready to compromise is someone who is set on a long-term strong relationship, that is, a long-term relationship. He understands that compromise is important in a relationship. When there are no losers and no winners in a relationship, even when we communicate or befriend someone, if, for example, in that friendship, you always come out on top and your friend is always the one losing, at some point, she's just going to step back. She'll stop being friends with you because she will feel uncomfortable, not good being around you. He will get involved, for example, during competitions. So, a man who is committed to a long-term relationship understands all of this perfectly. And he understands that in a relationship, there are no winners and no losers. He's open to compromise. A man who uses you has one goal, to satisfy his own needs, and then your feelings and emotions don't matter, your desires don't matter. The main thing is that the man feels good, that all his desires in the relationship are met. Moving on, respect for your boundaries. Again, a man who is committed to a long-term relationship, a man who loves, will respect the person who is by his side. That is, if she talks about her feelings, which is unacceptable for her, he will hear it, he will delve into it, because she is important to him. A man who uses, he will not care about your boundaries, he will press, squeeze, use manipulation, but in order to achieve some of his goals in the relationship. So the main thing is that he feels good. What you're going through right now doesn't really matter. Willingness to work on the relationship. Another indicator. A man who wants a long-term, happy relationship is willing to put in the work. He's ready to discuss any issues, he's willing to listen, and he's open to hearing a woman's perspective. He's also ready to express his own opinion, to reach a common ground. And here, a man's desire is very important. When a man wants serious, strong, deep relationships, he understands that it doesn't just happen like that. That is, nothing is created by waving a magic wand, that it is the same work. In order to get a result, you first have to do something, invest something. You can't just take the cream off the top like that. Don't do anything. So, that won't work. And you can't just take in a relationship either. After all, resources are always limited. So, a loving man is ready to work on the relationship. A man who is using you will avoid serious conversations. He'll be focused only on himself. He'll use various manipulations and different methods to make sure. It was good to avoid all those difficulties. It's all about the desire to try and just take the cream off the top. He's not looking for a long-term relationship. He's feeling so comfortable right now, and he's only ready to lie in this relationship. I'll say it again. A relationship with a loving person is a two-way process, and this is a very important point. Maybe the most important point that affects the relationship. If you see that your man is as involved in the relationship as you are, he shows care and attention. He worries about you. He doesn't pressure you, doesn't overstep, doesn't use or hurt you. He listens to you. Then that's the sign of a truly loving man. If you see that your relationship is one-sided, then everything should be clear to you from this video. I was with you all. I am Elisa Varnamskaya. I hope for your likes and subscriptions. Write in the comments what you would like to discuss in my new videos. Don't forget to hit the bell. And goodbye, everyone.